So just a quick overview for the chapter 7 of Paraguay and Boyle. They were talking a lot about strategies and techniques for for teaching vocabulary to our students. And so some of the research on the vocabulary development showed that bringing like a multifaceted approach is the best solution, especially for English learners or those where English is going to be their second language. And so, like many theorists have agreed on, that there is a direct and systematic instruction, and that plays like a very useful role. Also, just like limiting the amount of words that you teach your students, and new words, oral or written, in a variety of contexts is very crucial for strong word learning. And some of the things that they talked about is like teaching content based on context. Right here we have a couple examples of how catch can be used in many different ways. And they were talking about how like a single word in English, depending on its context, can have like 40 plus different meanings. So it's really like a good strategy to teach them based on context for these reasons. Some of the modifications that they had for English learners, they talked about sheltering, scaffolding, and judicious use of cognates. These are all like very important to like help support our students as they continue to develop their English language proficiency, and then also just developing their vocabulary word bank. And moving on to the kinds of words that we teach our students, they're broken apart into three tiers. Tier 1 being high frequency words, just words that are used daily in high volumes, and then tier 2 words are like the general academic words, and when we get to general 3 or tier 3, it's words that are more specific to the subject. So the difference between tier 2 is these are words that you'll find like cross curriculums, and then tier 3 would be more of like specifically in a single subject, you'll find these words there. So it's important to teach them these types of words because it helps build their academic literacy, which has been shown to be a strong case for success in their learning. They moved on to talking about how students learn new words, relating the new to the known. So, of course, going back to activating their background knowledge is very crucial. And of course, like getting them to have plenty of opportunities for deeper understanding, whether it's through pictures or demonstrations or metaphors, and engaging them in actively using the word. Repetition in this manner is very important. And of course, giving explicit instruction on the strategies to independently learn these new words. And today's day and age, there's a lot of good sources for word learning. There's like the incidental learning, where you have like the exposure and use in communicative context, and then explicit instruction, where you use strategies to help them understand, remember, and use the new words. Like we said before, like the repetitive use was really helpful. And of course, word analysis, breaking the words apart to prefixes, suffixes, and roots. A student's understanding of these will actually help them a lot in learning new words too, and helping them break down those new words themselves. And then we talk about the differentiated assessment and instruction. It's very good for the teacher to consider their primary language and how efficient they are with it, and use that as like a tool for the student to help develop their secondary language. Especially since understanding how the languages transfer, for instance, like Spanish has a very high transfer and decoding ability, while Chinese is not as strong. And so understanding these things is very important. Of course, we have the cognates and false cognates as well, which really help. Cognates being that words that have like the similar spelling and they have the same meaning. And so understanding that will actually like help a lot for an easy transition. While false cognates may look like they have the same meaning, and they may be spelled similar, but actually have different meanings. So keeping an eye out for those is really good. And as far as for assessments, the KWL charts are really good in getting like a grasp on what the students know, what they wish to know, and what they have learned from a lesson. And vocabulary assessments, we have the prior to instruction, the brainstorming topics before teaching, word recognition charts, and wordless books are all very good tools to help get a grasp of what the students' background knowledge is, and how we should approach them with new vocabulary. As for teaching strategies, there's a lot of really good activities that are provided by Paraguay and Boyle. A big one was total physical response, which is really good for all ages. especially the younger ages where you pair actions with words. It gets them more engaged and active into the lesson, and that's a very good thing. You can even play a game like Simon Says. It's just very playful and helpful because the actions demonstrate their understanding of the word meanings. It shows like their comprehension by the responses that they give, and of course, speaking is not required, which is good, but it's also it enables them to be more active, and you're not just sitting in desks and going down lists of words for them, but you're actually getting them engaged in it. And of course, there's a lot of web tools online, plenty of awesome sources there with online dictionaries and thesauruses and other programs like vocabulary. There's a lot of good tools online nowadays, and there's many of activities that teacher can go through, including read alouds and flashcards and a growing word wall dictionary. All these activities are very helpful for a teacher to use in order to switch it up and not keep like a redundancy of just teaching new vocabulary words in the same way and changing up the pace of the classroom. But, yeah, that's chapter 7 of Paraguay and Boyle. Thank you.